Hello world of YouTube and welcome to another episode of Redacted, the segment where I take a look at an album that has a solid foundation but a spotty execution. And in this episode, I'm following the thread I planted in the previous episode and am dissecting multiple releases from one artist and making a theoretical concept album out of it. Now, in this instance, I'm making it less of a loose concept and more of taking a lot of tracks from various records that an artist has released in this decade and making them into one perfect embodiment of what that artist's output used to be. And I'll explain a little more about that in the setup, but essentially I'm taking all of the saturated releases this artist has put out and making them into one tight package that embodies everything he's been doing in that time span while trimming a lot of the fat and uninteresting songs from the mix. And I'm talking about an artist that I've talked about ad nauseum on the channel a lot, Tech-9. And I'm pulling everything he's put out from 2012 through 2018 into one double album a la Killer that I'm calling Klusterfuk.
So now that I gotta live life with them both, all I can say. And that's no K. Get away, you disc jockers never play. Everyone loving the tech, publishing I get a check. Loving the cities and with me, the people that call me the best. I don't have any regret, but it's a bit of neglect.
Now, Klusterfuk is the name of one of the EPs that he put out in 2012. I called it Klusterfuk because this album is a lot of everything Tech embodies as an artist and feels like a clusterfuck. I continued to talk about Tech-9's music when it was new up through 2013, but it was after that point that he really started to oversaturate the scene with his music, and I feel his music has become less and less interesting the more that he's done so, and I brought it upon myself to, as a fan of Tech-9, as someone who's been listening to Tech-9 since like 2006, 2007, I wanted to see if I could actually make a cohesive, consistent record out of everything he's done since I stopped being a diehard fan of his. Because I used to really like Tech's music. I did. I was a huge fan, and it's not even because he's become a more popular person in the mainstream. Like I said, I just feel like he's putting out too much music, and he's not as compelling as he used to be as a result of that. Now, I'm not counting his collabos releases. That will be an exercise all its own, because they're supposed to be their own separate entity. But if you include those, Tech has been on my last two Worst of the Year lists. I thought his album Planet was okay, but the literal embodiment of everything I have not really liked about Tech-9's career post-2013. Even though there's representation of it here in small doses, there are more records that get more exposure on here because there's more compelling tracks on them. Now, that's not to say every song that's not here is bad, but this, I feel like, is the best cobbling together of all of the Tech songs that feel like they represent Tech-9 now without all of the other shit that was either watering down those records or providing the listener with insight into a situation that isn't interesting to hear about. This album is kind of split up into, like I said, two discs a la Killer, but each disc has their own dynamic to it, and you could even structure it similarly to Big Krizz last record in the fact that side A would be Tech, and side B would be Aaron. Tech is the industry, the stage show, the lavish life, and Aaron is the home life, the reaction to the fame, the personal touch. And there's 31 tracks here, because it wouldn't be a Tech-9 album without a lot of tracks in it. And before I break down why I chose what tracks and where I put them, let's show you all of the tracks.
Father, I'll place you in the deepest, darkest.
Two things for certain, I'm for real.
Liberate me, Lord. I'm an angel and on this way wicked plan.
Your mind rewind this shit. My message is beyond this shit.
Way to kill another kid. Info free and Stevie.
Sometimes I feel they wanna try and get whatever you got. Wanna wear the chain and watch them. Your Paulina, think you dirty with your style, my style cleaner. With a pussy, cat scan, booty's always being watched. So good I might impair that vision, so I dip in then dip up.
She said I heard that you was packing. I'm a fan of your rapping. I'm feeling action with you.
You are affecting.
That is when I get to tripping and having a fear.
This is the start of disc 2.
For living in this crazy world, that's gonna affect the way longer. Some of the people opponents are giving opinion, never do get it. I want you to come on. Just told me that the DJs didn't feel us. Darkness will not win. My heart is really not grim, but the tip. His reply to me was, why, nigga? Get meals, people hop on the bandwagon when you rockin'. Put that on the Bible. If you fucking with tech, get the Bible.
420 is faded memories.
Hated enemies, ready to finish. Started making hella LPs. 2000 auto with a 5, but a 6 for assists. I gotta fight all of the
Dreams, no matter what may come and what may fall. Cause ain't no shame.
me in the brown and red. Dig is mahogany, red all over me like a hit. But we don't wanna see any anguish. Wanna see we free to be. In the beginning, it was negative. Wasn't nobody checking this step.
So I busted this thing out with Straight Out the Gate because, and I debated on if I wanted to make it Straight Out the Gate or EBAH, but I feel like Straight Out the Gate really showcases Tech's proficiency to hype himself up, you know, and it leads into Break Into Colored Houses perfectly, and it's a great showcase of both sides in 2 songs, because Bitch is about Tech's come up into the industry, you know, so it's a great embodiment of what side A really represents, you know, and then it continues to unravel Tech as a persona. You know, EBAH is his dichotomy, his split personality type of style that he raps with, while also having just a great leg of tracks that have tight features, that have Tech at his most proficient with a lot of really fun shit. And that would be Straight Out the Gate through Speedom, because it wouldn't be a Tech record post 2010 without a Choppers track. And if I'm going to put a Choppers track on here, it's going to be the one that fans have been wanting for the longest time. Tech have been wanting, Tech 9 fans have been wanting Tech and Eminem to collaborate for ages. And it's a song that I feel like comes together really, really well. I feel like they shouldn't have called it Worldwide Choppers 2, because it's just 3 American rappers rapping together. But Krizz spits some fire on there, and Eminem does his thing as well, which everyone was really wanting for. But after that, it's shifts from Tech's persona, the stage show, the hype tracks, to the club tracks, to the more Tech-centric songs, you know, the songs like No K and Dwamn, which are all about Tech's slanguage, because Tech is one of those rappers that has a lot of his own dictionary of slang that he spun into his music, just like E40, and E40's on No K. And I think it's a really nice compliment to Dwamn as having multiple kind of Tech linguistic songs. And I put Don't Nobody Want None on there because, again, it's a great throwback track, and it's a great Tech caricature song about DJs and being a b-boy in the 80s. So that had to be on here, and it had to be on side A. But I feel like Dwamn, till the end of side A with Psycho Bitch 3, is a great, I don't want to say story set of songs, but there's something like that in side 2 as well, near the end. So I wanted to have one in side A, and I feel like Dwamn would be the night at the club. Hood Go Crazy would be the morning after. You know, those 2 songs really go well together. So Dope They Wanna would be, you know, discussion of women. It's a song about women. It's a nice little, again, baby posse cut that then has a great counterpoint of Psycho Bitch 3, which, again, if I'm gonna make a Tech record that is supposed to be this this hypothetical Tech album that comes out after 2011, so he waits like 7 years to put out a record, this would be that. He's gonna make a Psycho Bitch 3 because Tech fucking loves him some making songs about crazy women. While I think this is the weakest of those songs, it's still, I feel like it needs to be here, and I feel like it's a good poignant place to cap off side A because it's this great dramatic peak. And on the Aaron side, on side B, I open with another weed jam, because, again, Tech loves him some weed. That's why I put Colorado, because it's a great lead into Speedom. It's a great posse cut, and it's got shit about weed on it. And I feel like this is another showcase, which is in parts of side A, with like 2 Chainz and B.O.B. and T-Pain being on songs, of having a bigger budget, more guests. Boyz II Men are on here. They do a great job. Before really getting personal with My Haiku and Burn the World, which is Tech's reaction to some of the dramatic shit going on in the world, before spinning into his reaction to the fame and criticism with Fragile and URALYA. Fragile being a more intimate feeling song with the more mellow beat, before erupting into URALYA with Tech just letting it all out. And it also plays into that sort of bipolar duality of Tech thing that this hypothetical record is spinning around. It also plays into the whole clusterfuck mindset really, really well, I feel. And I feel like those are a good two-piece to each other. I try to do a lot of that. I try to have songs, like I said, that tell a story, or have like interesting dynamic when placed next to each other, like So Dope They Wanna and Psycho Bitch, which is then a great lead into Brightfall, because Brightfall is a song about dealing with the duality, you know, having that dark, sinister side come through, with its skit also being an allusion to the themes discussed in the titular title track Klusterfuk, which is why I didn't keep many skits, but that's one I felt like I needed to include in here. And I wanted that to follow URALYA because it's a great continuation of that thread of anger towards the industry before this discussion of sensitivity to go further down the rabbit hole, before capping off with I'm Not a Saint, where Tech talks about his own issues, talks about himself, you know, not just a reaction to the fame, but discusses why he is the way he is. And the only real oddity in this mix is Head Now. I wanted to represent Therapy, even though a lot of Tech fans don't like it. I'm also not really into it, but I felt like it needed to be here because I don't have a whole lot of the Tech rock shit for a reason. But I feel like if I was going to include it, I would have the track with Burns and Wrekonize, because they're at least in a rap rock band who does make consistently good music. And Head Now is of the same ilk that Side B is discussing thematically. It just feels like the one offshoot that doesn't have any burrowing threads like the next couple of tracks, like the tracks before it and the tracks after it do. Because after Head Now, it's on the Bible, which is about guns and gang activity and shit, before flipping into Priorities, which is about crime and drugs and shit. It's a nice little short interlude that actually leads into What If It Was Me really, really well. The whole gunshots at the end of Priorities lead into the beginning of What If It Was Me, even though What If It Was Me is more about cops and cops killing, you know, it's a social conscious song, which is very rare for Tech. But I like What If It Was Me because it talks about, you know, wrapped up in police brutality and violence in a really nice way. Even if he still spends a handful of the track talking about his come-up, which also ties into the Aaron side, it at least comes to an apex of being about that. And I feel like it follows that thread of gang violence really well because it's not just that side. That's the issue, that's at fault. And I wanted to talk about that before spinning it into the family, because Oh Yeah has actually a line that's in What If It Was Me, so it continues the thread from that song into Oh Yeah, before talking about his family, his mom, you know, That's My Kid, being about his kids, without talking about college tuition and shit. Before capping things off with more personal shit about himself. Klusterfuk, being the title track of this album, is the only song from that record, or from that EP, but it has the best embodiment of the Aaron side. It talks about his coming up with the multi-religious background and how it made him feel like a mental clusterfuck. And I put it before the two big show-stopping tracks because I wanted the album to culminate to this point. I included tracks that had lyrical references to this song before this, and I had other songs that kind of added to the atmosphere of what it means to be clusterfuck. what it means to embody the mindset of the song Klusterfuk. I included songs to have this be a cohesive concept, if you will. Before ending it with two bigger anthemic songs, Believe being this super spiritual, motivational song, and Strange 2013 being him living his dream, working with the Doors. You know, which is, again, two big things that I think are critical to Aaron Yates, not just Tech-9. You know, he is all about optimism, positivity, pushing towards that goal, fuck the haters, shit like that. And while I think that it's a little excessive to end an album on that note, would be very true to Aaron Tech-9's mentality and headspace. You know, he's all about just persevering through it all, motivated, you know, being the best that he can be. And to do that and then end it with a song where you get to live your dream is the greatest way to end the more personal side of this 2-disc record. But yeah, that was my journey and my thought process behind pulling together, how many albums is it? 4 records and 4 EPs into one big, outlandish project. I don't plan on making Redacted like this again. I do plan on making Redacteds where I take multiple releases and put them together, but I don't plan on taking 8 releases and finding a cohesive narrative or thread within an artist's mindset into them. I feel like this is just an outlier scenario. I would not like to do this for like Logic or anything, or any artist that, or like Charles Hamilton. I'd rather just stick to taking an already existing big thread, putting it together into one nice project, or taking nuggets that have little crumbs everywhere and pulling them together into one big thing. There's a lot to really... I've sat with this for a long time before I was really happy with it. And I hope you are too. I hope... I've shown this to Tech-9 fans that I know, and they seem to really enjoy this. If you don't like Tech-9, you're still probably not going to like this. But I figured I'd make a nice, digestible package out of everything he's done for the last fucking... what is that? 6 years, 7 years, you know? So, hopefully you enjoyed this. I will be discussing Nina when it drops, and I hope that it's better than Planet. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna go. I've been Viral Rack. You guys have good days, lives, and situations. I'll see you another day.